in the fork of the road is a statue of the city's founder, Jean-Baptiste Lemoyne Sir de Vienne, who founded New Orleans in 1718. So 2018 was the tricentennial years with our air conditioning fixed. Just kind of a straight shot to the Lake Pontchartrain area in front of us. St. Louis Street has a lot of restaurants, but a lot of them are closed on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday because of the labor shortage thing. And so behind us, Decatur Street has Cafe de Monde, and you'll find a lot of breakfast and lunch spots open on that street, and then everybody goes to Bourbon Street at night. So we'll go to lunch, dinner, and after hours places that will be open over there. And we will see open restaurants as we go. And the cooking school is open on the left. The New Orleans School of Cooking is where you can go learn New Orleans cuisine. Take the class, eat the food at the end. It includes all your beverages, including a bean of beer. They should have fresh pralines in the front window. It's our local southern candy. We have pecans and sugar and sweet milk. It's really good, really sweet. Try it for free. See if you like it first. On the corner on the right with the cupola on top is Napoleon House. That was the home of the mayor, Nicolas Girard, who concocted a rescue mission to get the Emperor of France, Napoleon Bonaparte, out of exile, and they found out he died 3 days before they went to get him, so it is a good restaurant now. On my left here, Masparo's restaurant was originally Masparo's Exchange, a slave exchange. An auction house, they said Andrew Jackson and the Pirates won the Battle of New Orleans upstairs. Across the street on the left is the back of the Supreme Court building of Louisiana. That was built in 1890 for $1 million. They would run out of money. They made the bottom floors marble, the top terracotta that was cheaper. And it was the State Courthouse until the 50s. The Wildlife and Fisheries Museum in the 70s. Hollywood had it in the 80s. They filmed JFK, Pelican Brief, and the Runaway Jury movies there. In 2004, they'd make it the Supreme Court building of the state. We are one of the few states in the nation to have our Supreme Court. Outside of its capital city, Maine and California are the other two. And on my right is the New Orleans Pharmacy Museum. It's the site of our first licensed pharmacy in the U.S. It's a medical museum today with leeches and bone saws and soda fountains inside. And they had these jars in the front window. They were filled with red. Well, that had been a warning system to keep people inside during many epidemics like malaria, cholera, yellow fever, dysentery, and they thought if you were inside, you'd be safe from all the disease. It was the filth of the city and the mosquito. Mosquitoes could breed everywhere. They had swamps around the city, and behind every building in the courtyards were cisterns. They caught rainwater as fresh water for the families. The mosquitoes bred there too. They are responsible for yellow fever, a worst epidemic which killed almost 8,000 people. In 1853, other cities would call us the city of the dead because of it. Even though they had yellow fever, our epidemics were deadlier than theirs. We're going to go up here to Jackson Square. It has in front of us the St. Louis Cathedral, which was built in 1794 on the site of two earlier churches. The first one up here blew down in a hurricane in 1723. The second one burnt down in a big fire on Good Friday, 1788. That fire destroyed most of the city. They said the fire began up here on the left, where they have a fire hydrant outside the building. This was the home of the Army treasurer, Don Nunez, a Spaniard. He lit the candles in his private chapel. The curtains blew into the candles, got everything on fire. They ran to the church to ring the bells. The bells were tied down for the holiday. The alarm didn't go out. 856 out of 1,100 buildings burnt down. Everybody that died was buried where we have our cemetery. About 7 blocks to the left is where you'll find St. Louis Cemetery number 1. It is the oldest cemetery in New Orleans, and it began outside of town as a mass grave site. And up here, Jackson Square is really busier during the weekends with artists, musicians, performers, and vendors, and of course residents for the weekend for today, and everybody's outside of Jazz Fest. Overlooking it is the Cabildo coming up. That was our city hall. Cabildo is now our Louisiana History Museum. They have an office upstairs where two parts of the Louisiana Purchase took place in 1803. Downstairs are cannons from the Battle of New Orleans. The museums are exhibited Napoleon Bonaparte's death mask. They often have weddings in the courtyard of the museum. So they have the white pavilion. I'm only able to guess because I can't see inside. But it has a crawfish boil next to it, so I'm thinking it's related to a wedding. The white building behind it was the prison, and it became the arsenal. They would keep weapons there for the Battle of New Orleans. Next door to that, the brick building had been the governor's mansion during the Spanish period. Governor Miro lived by the jail. It's next to Cabildo Alley that ends at the church. Alongside the church is Pirates Alley. They said pirates hung out by a church when they got off their boat. And on my left is the gumbo shop, which has good New Orleans cuisine. Creole cuisine is the food born here from the people, the culture, the recipes, and the replacement foods that we had. They make a good gumbo. It is our local stew. You thicken it with a roux. They flavor it with whatever's in the kitchen. Today, the chicken, sausage, seafood, or okra. And our street up ahead is Royal Street, our main shopping area. Is high-end on the left with art galleries, antique shops, and retail boutiques. It's more residential to the right. It's supposed to be closed to traffic from 11 to 4. But I'm going to guess people go around the barricades. Oh, the barricades are gone. Look at that. Oh, honey, oh. So we're going to go around this drain. The street is a little tricky, so just bear with me on the whole thing. This is actually a drain with Bourbon Street water on the bottom and a cattle garden on top, so she does not walk on that one. And they had a water main break up ahead, and we used to be able to go around the pothole, but now cars have decided they can park over there. So we're going to hit it a little bit. I'm going to try and, I'm going to, just bear with me. I'm going to go really slow. She's not going to walk in it. Honey bun. Oh. Oh, come on. I know, you got to pull me out on the not as bad side. Oh, sorry, in the back. It's the rustic part of the tour. Yeah, she is really good. On my left, Pot O'Brien's was the home of the Hurricane, our fruit cocktail drink made with 4 shots of rum, including 151. The neighbor on the left is Preservation Hall, a jazz club founded in 1961 to preserve authentic New Orleans jazz. Has a really good security guard. It's not supposed to be on the phone. And then they have the gates that have the sign for the times, but you do buy your tickets online. And so we're going to make it right up here on Bourbon Street. A lot of it's to the left. We're going to go to the right. We kind of catch the tail end of this area, the quieter side, I like to call it. But there are bars with music up ahead as we go. Over here on the corner is the crazy corner on the left, which is a Zydeco cover band based on Bourbon across the street, where they say Harry Connick Jr. would sing when he was 7 years old. Catch Me On the left is our oldest karaoke bar. Urban Heat is a good band. They cover a lot of 60s and 70s music. So I'm going to make a left here. This is Orleans Avenue, which was the main funeral road. It's the wide street of the French Quarter that starts behind the cathedral. There's a little green space called St. Anthony's Garden that used to be a dueling ground. Men would fight over women with swords and knives, what they called honor duels. First blood won the duels, and this street would lead to the back gate of a rampart that protected the colony. Where all the traffic is ahead of us is Rampart Street, and back here, this area had been the swamp until around 1900 because they figured out mosquitoes were breeding in the water, getting people sick. And then technology improved enough to dry it all out. And they had houses built back here before that time. They were built with crawl spaces above ground to avoid flooding of rainwater that pushed in swamp water. They're usually covered by grates today, like on the left and on the right. But we have a lot of the early architecture of New Orleans back here. Like the yellow cottage is the early style on the left. The Creole cottage, they would build Creole cottages, the ones three kind of square-shaped brick building with a pitched roof facing the street. There's another one on the right. And they were more stable on the wet foundation because we were building in the swamp. Your tall buildings are often crooked because of the wet foundation, but they were tall for the owners, the merchants, to see the river. So when their boats filled with goods were coming into town, they're usually shaded with balconies that are 3 to 4 feet wide, or galleries like on the left. They come to the curb and have a pull to the ground. It keeps the sun of your doors and windows so your house is cooler in the summer. And this townhouse on the right has technically has a front door that's hidden because it has a carriageway, and it's because the roads were mud, animal waste, and garbage and smelled really bad. And so you would ride your carriage off the road onto your